Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Mini Monday, where today we'll be working on these two rock men again. Rock dudes, whatever. First off, we're gonna dive right in, and we're gonna put that gray stone color over the night guy, and then we'll come back to this guy a little bit later. But first, we're gonna go with the steel gray. It's a pretty light gray. I have from Folk Art. I have, if it can focus here, focus. Maybe if I put it down a little bit. Sorry about that. All right. But anyway, we have Dove Gray, and we have Steel Gray. We're gonna do the Steel Gray first. Then we'll hit it a little bit with the Dove Gray, and yeah, we'll get right into it. I'm gonna be using the napkin that we used last time, and the same little bitty dish to put our stuff in. And I'm using this number 6 fan brush that I got from Hobby Lobby. So we'll just put a little bit down, just something like that. Doesn't need to be. That's actually probably way more than we need, but it's cheap paint, so it doesn't really matter. So then what we do is we take our dry brush, and then we kind of push it in there, get it all in the bristles. And again, I wouldn't do these with brand new brushes. Dry brushes are usually best, like makeup brushes or old brushes usually make the best dry brushes. So we want most of this stuff off. I would say probably 80 to 85% we want off. So then we're going to want to hit all the places that we kind of want there to be armor. We don't want any on his face because we want that to be like a brown. So we're just going to kind of slowly touch all this area, and you'll notice that when we start putting it on, it's not going to look very gray. It's going to be we're mixing it with the mud color, so it's going to be a dark mud color, on top of this gray. But we do want this to be a base coat, so just be a little careful around the edges, but generally speaking, we're going to want, I would say we probably want 90% coverage on this mini with this gray. We're going to want to try to avoid the stump or the logs that he's standing on here, because we want that to kind of remain the gray or the brown. We don't want the gray to stick out on it. But that's okay, because we're going to be putting a dark wash over these anyway. So even if you do hit him a little bit with it, it's going to be okay. Ooh, that's a little too much. And we're just going to hit all these spots with them. This is, if you can kind of think of it, this is going to be kind of like a heavy, almost like a heavy paint, because we want to make sure that he's totally gray here before we move on to the next step. So I tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward this so you guys can see everything, but I'll catch you in a bit. All right, let's go. her back. As you probably saw, I was going over this guy a few different times, different spots, making sure he's totally, you know, done. And you can kind of see the difference. I mean, if you look at the two, he does look great. And as it went on, you're like, oh man, it doesn't look all that great. But once you compare him next to somebody who doesn't have any of it on, he doesn't look too bad. But we're going to move on to the next one, which was this Dove Gray. We're going to want to put just a drop. I mean, we're going to use a single drop of this stuff. Oh, well, okay, 2 drops because it wanted to come out. And then what we want to do is we want to get most of our paint off of our brush here. Not all of it, obviously. And we don't want to get it wet. So we're just going to wipe it all off here. And then we're going to come into here. We're going to get it all in our bristles like we did before. Merge it together here. Now that darker gray and this lighter gray will kind of mesh together, which is kind of what we want. We want it to be meshed together a little bit. And we're just going to go ahead and touch all these little spots here that we want to stick out just a hair more. So we're just going to touch these right here, touch these little spiky bits. I'm going to get a little bit more here. Remember, we can always go back for more paint, but we can't take it off. So always start less than what you want here. I'm just going to kind of touch all this, maybe touch the sides of this a little bit, just so it has a little bit of, you know, eye-catch and draw to it. Yeah, just like that. Kind of want that to be brighter. We definitely want these little spiky bits to be bright. And then we'll just do a little bit on these, a little bit on his hand right here, maybe a little bit on the top of his shield. Kind of think of, you know, how the light will hit this guy. You know what I mean? And as it comes down, kind of hits him on there. Maybe a little bit on his back, but I wouldn't go too crazy on his back here. And then what I'm going to do here, to both of them actually, after this guy's completely done, we're going to go ahead and let's get a little bit more on here. We almost want this tip to be like really bright, because we want that to have the focal point of the draw here. And since we didn't clean our brush, the brown or the gray that we used before is mixing really well with the brown that we're using now, the Dove Gray. Why do I keep saying brown? The grays, sorry, my bad. So there we go. Now look at this guy. He's looking real good now. Alright, so now we're done with this brush. We can go ahead and clean it in our clean water, or our dirty water. I just got new waters, but pick one to be your dirty water. Get all of it out that you can. Now go into the clean water, and then that's going to be how we clean our brush. Give it a good little wipe down here, and then we'll finish washing that after we're totally done here. But alright, so the dry brushing is done on the soldier now. So we're going to take this coffee latte, we're going to mix or shake this up a bit, and we're going to use a single drop, just like that. And then we're going to take a very small fan brush. This is a number 2 fan brush. We're going to take this and do the same kind of concept, get it all in there. And we're going to flip this over, wipe most of it off on our pad. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to touch the face. This way the face is really brought out. And we're going to keep, that way we keep it light as well. Because when we put the wash on here, it's really going to shine here. So the coffee latte probably won't show up too exponential on this guy, but it's just going to be a little bit extra that we put on this guy to really bring him out. There we go. Just making sure his face is totally set with the coffee latte here. Just so he has a very distinct face. Then, that's it for that. Very simple, very easy. Then we're going to wash both of those off. Now, what we'll do is the little bitty rocks that are on here, we're going to take our detail brush, get it nice and wet in the clean water. We shouldn't need that anymore. And then we'll go for the darker gray, the what was that one? Steel gray. We'll go for the steel gray, and then we'll just kind of paint these rocks here. Give a nice wet brush. They don't need to be perfect. As long as it's a wet brush, we'll be all right. And just kind of paint these little bitty rocks here. I think this is a rock, so I'm going to go ahead and paint that like a rock. It's just a sphere rock. It could be a little bitty mushroom top or something like that. If that's the way you want to paint yours, by all means, go ahead and paint it up like that. Just like that. Very easy, very simple. I think there's a rock on this one. Yeah, there's a big old rock on this one. So let's make sure we have a nice wet brush. And then we'll do the same. We're going to kind of avoid the vines here, because we're going to be painting those green. But if you get a little on there, that's all right. That is all right. We're just kind of pushing the paint into the spots we want it to go. I'm going to get the sides here. Get the sides of all the rock. Very simple. We're not trying to make this, again, like a, competition paint level. You could if you wanted, but I'm just painting this nice and easy. Just something to keep my mind going here and painting minis. But yeah, I sometimes I like just to make simple paints. The base is going to be very simple. Like I said here, we're only using browns, grays, a little bit of green and blue to mix everything up. And yeah, that's kind of all we're doing here. So very easy, and that's kind of all we needed to do here. There. You know what? I think that's a little round rock too. We're gonna go ahead and paint up this little round rock right here. There we go. All right. So what we'll do with these is we'll let them totally dry. Oh, you know what? No, let's do the blue first. Sorry, my bad. Let's do the blue. So we'll shake the blue up real good. Put just a couple drops onto our little spot here. Make sure you clean out your brush. Remember, dirty water first, then clean. Then we take the blue. Now the thing about Reaper paints is they go on really, really well. I know a lot of people ask, are you using only craft paints? Should I start with craft paints? What should I start with? And to that, I mean, I say you pay for what you get, and we're now in an age, right? We're in an age where they have this stuff down to an absolute science, getting the paint formulated so it sticks really well to minis and primers and all that kind of good stuff. So in my opinion, if you want to get started painting, I think you should buy paints equivalent to the level that you want to paint at. And I know that's kind of open-ended. If you've never painted anything, how do you know, right? If you want to be really, really good at painting, I think you should buy the, you know, I don't want to say premium paints, but paints specifically designed for painting minis. I think that's what you should do, because those are going to give you the best results. And in all honesty, they'll be easy to apply. They'll be easy to, you know, manipulate, thin down, all that kind of stuff on a palette. But if you're looking to just do okay minis with an okay paint job, personally, I think, like kind of what I do almost, just a mix. Do a little bit of both. I would start off with primarily craft paints because they're cheap, and then go from there. But again, you will see the best results. You'll see best results with these type of paints. I mean, you can already see these are going on, the paint's going on so smooth, buttery smooth. But again, I don't ever plan on being an expert painter. I never plan on being, you know, a competition winner or anything like that. That's just not who I am. But for some things, it's easier and I get the results I'm looking for if I use these designer paints. And like I was saying before, it's always good to maintain your breathing, because that's where most of people's shaking is at, is in their breathing. You can reduce your shaking by concentrating on your breathing. Now, I know that some people have, you know, medical reasons on why they shake, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have to feel like you have to be an absolutely steady hand to be able to paint stuff. I don't feel like that's necessary to think, because even with a shaky hand, you can still get the rough outlines on what you need by moving your other hand. So if your hand's shaky, maybe keep this one still, or as still as you can, and then manipulate it by moving your hand with this one. I just touched that right there. That's okay though, because this water is very thin. We can just kind of rub that off like that. See that? Not a big deal. When you do stuff like that, don't worry too much about it, because the paint, it's only acrylic paint, right? So you can scrub that off real easy like that, and it comes right up. So don't worry. No accidents here. No accidents. But there we go. So the blue was just to kind of mix them up a bit. You know, give them a little bit of something, something. And we still have plenty of paint on there. So one drop, way more than enough. So then we're going to move on to the green. And the green is just going to go on to the... I don't know if this one will come out. Yep, there we go. Just one drop, just like we did before, with the Naga green. And dirty water, clean water. Here we go. So with this is where us having shaky hands or non-shaky hands, or you know, whatever that is, this is where it really comes into play. And I think I'm gonna zoom in here so we can really see. So these little bitty vines, what I'm gonna do is, actually hold on, let me back up. What I'm gonna do is, how I do this is I hold onto my hand like this, I rest it on the table, and it gives me the most control over my hand. Now this is just my This is me personally. It maybe something else would be better for someone else, but that's how I paint these. And then all I do is as I try to trace the vine as best as I can. But really lightly, because we don't need a whole lot here. We don't need a whole lot to get this to actually work. And for these hard little bitty leaves here, look at this. Easy. Go back for a little bit more. And I'm sure you guys have heard my heater this entire time. And as I mentioned in a previous video, it's because I'm in the basement, and the basement gets kind of cold. And especially this room. This room gets really cold. So, turned on the heater. So there we go. We have one vine. It's very tight, but it can be done. Now there's two little bitty leaves in there, and then all we're going to do is hold on real tight, breathe in real slowly, and exhale even slower. And then we're just going to paint the sides of that. Then we'll do the same for this side. Probably should have used a little bit more water here. That was my fault, but I think we'll be alright. Now, the next thing is we don't have to worry about these being absolutely perfect, because when we put the wash on there, right? When we put the wash, most of that stuff's going to be covered up anyway. It's going to become a very dark color, and we don't have to worry too much about that stuff. So, again, don't be beating yourself up. Don't be beating yourself up when you see this and you're like, oh man, it's not perfect. Well, that's all right. That's all right if it's not perfect. So we did the two vines there. I think it came up pretty good. Now let's do the vine on this one. It looks like there's a vine on the rock, and then there's a vine kind of on that one. So we're going to do the same thing. Get our brush nice and clean and moist. We're going to hold this one down just like we did before. I'm going to hold onto my hand. And then we're just going to kind of skate across the top here. And I'm trying to hold my brush almost away from the actual rock itself, because I know that I shake. And my shaking is the thing I can't control. But I can control it being just above the rock itself. So, basically, most of this I'm missing, and I had to go back over it. You know what I mean? So I missed the branch. I missed the branch because, you know, I'm just over it. But because I'm shaking, it allows me to actually touch it every so often, and that's all that matters. So again, we're just trying to skate on the top of it. And this is where keeping a moist brush, oh, my bad, sorry. This is where keeping a moist brush, and not a wet brush, but moist, will really help out, because it'll easily apply to these leaves. And now this green color is really strong, so one coat will probably do it. And even if it doesn't do it and there's still a little bit of gray underneath, that's okay, because, you know, leaves in green sometimes have a little bit of brown in there. There we go. Whew! It's tough, but you can do it. Anyone can do this. Trust me, I'm no one special. I'm no one special. Anyone can do this. All you gotta do have practice, and see what works best for you. Maybe holding your hand down, holding both, isn't best for you. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just gotta try stuff out until you find the very thing that works for you. And again, you don't have to be absolutely perfect with this stuff, because the wash will really drown some of that stuff out. So we're just trying to get a general idea on where all this stuff is going to be at with the green. We're going to let it completely dry, and then we'll hit it with the wash. And the wash is going to probably be the Agrax Earthshade, probably what we're going to do. But yeah, I think this is going on really well. There we go. There we go. Look at that. That blue is very bright. But I like it. I dig it. So another thing that you could do if you wanted is you could take a darker the darker brown and just kind of touch all of the wood if you wanted. But I'm not going to do that. I think that that kind of is going to defeat the purpose of what we were trying to accomplish here, in minimal colors and minimal, you know, effort, basically. So I'm gonna let these completely dry. Then we're gonna come back and do the Agrax Earthshade. Let that dry, and then we'll finish the bases. So I will catch you in a second. Okay, and we're back. So I let these dry. They're all good and dry. I got Agrax Earthshade in our 3D printed holder. Give it a little shake here. Put it in there. We got our brush. Put it into clean water, making sure we get all that good. And then, like we've done for all the other ones, we start at the top and work our way down, and we try to not make it pool as much as we can. So yeah, just start at the top, work your way down here. Same principle that we did with the actual coloring, the Citadel color paints. I forget the name of it already. But we're trying to get all of that on there. You can be really heavy with it here, because this is what's going to bring out that detail for us. So go ahead and make sure we get every area really well. And then in the dark spot, or the places that should be dark, make sure you get, you know, not a whole lot of pooling, but a good amount of pooling in those areas, because that is where we want a lot of that to sit. And then around the edges, we just kind of hit that on the base. Very simple, very easy. That's a good amount right there, so I don't think I really need any more. Let's come back to that. And it's also, again, it's very important that we make sure that we hit all the areas that we need to. But we can't go back once we hit them, so be careful about that. Just want that shield to be a little bit darker there. Not bad. So we'll let this guy completely dry. Let him completely dry. And then I'll finish the base off screen, because that's not really all that important. Oops. That's not really all that important. So that I can do off screen. And then after I'm done here, at the end of the video, I'll post some glamour shots of these two minis. I'll probably seal them as well. Probably. I'll just put some of that clear coat on there. Make sure they're nice and finished. It's good to put clear coats on, protective seal, to make sure that you know, the Mini that you painted is still in one piece after it, you know, gets touched, or, you know, grubby greasy hands get all over it. I tell you, I got some grubby greasy hands over here. I actually don't have grubby greasy hands. Don't have any grease at all in my hands, if you noticed. They're dry. You know, it is what it is. You gotta live with what you got. So there we go. Clean off in our dirty water, then full clean in our clean water, and then we'll hit this with the conditioner soap off screen as well. But there they are. There's the two with just the wash on. So we'll give this some time to dry. I'll put a clear coat on them, finish the base, then the clear coat, and I'll put some glamour shots at the end. Thanks for watching this. I know it was only short 2 videos, but until the next video, I'll see you all there. Peace out.